for Megan tonight. Let's make sure they can hear me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear myself, so I guess that's a good start. Let me turn that down so there's no.
There you go. Good boy.
I'm filling in for Megan tonight because she is on a little vacation. So you get me like 3 nights in a row.
No, don't find
So if you have any
it.
questions
Don't
that
find
haven't
it.
been answered thus far,
No,
I'll be happy to answer them for you if I can.
No, you're not having it.
Carlene isn't here yet. She went to the shuttle to pick up a camera person / applicant, somebody.
Stop that. That is not nice.
Perfect, sounds good.
No.
Okay, great.
Hey. Hey. That is not very nice.
Somebody was just commenting on the feed room looks lonely. There really aren't. I promise you they're not. We have lots of people coming in and out of there throughout the day, and if you think about it, you guys only really see kennel 10, the kitchen, what else on camera? Puppy wise, that's pretty much it. So really the back room is kind of an indicator, you know, of what the other kennels are like. Nut house, we don't have a camera. Deagle house, the other kennels in the barn, but they get plenty of love and attention, and it's just going to be a part of our rotation that the 2 dogs that are in the kitchen will spend the night in the kitchen, and then they'll spend the night on the back deck and rotate out. Part of the reason we're doing that right now is because we're short with kennels, with Deagle house being full with the quote-unquote sick puppies, but they get to come out on Monday, so that'll help free us up some space, and we may or may not use the back room after that. Somebody asked me if it's a long drive to get to SCP. It is exactly 50 miles from my house to here one way, so it's a long drive, but I don't really hit traffic. It's pretty much all highway, which is nice. But yeah, it's an hour here and an hour back. River Rock. I think it's her birthday today, so happy birthday. Did anything special happen today? Not that I can think of. I took the minions, Olivia and Kayla and I took the minions to George's, and they all got their rabies vaccination. We had lots of vomit in the truck because it was their first ride and they got car sick, but otherwise they did really well. Highlights of today's training, Scooter Karen. I had some of the younger girls working with the puppies, doing some off-leash. We tried to get all the Deagle house puppies out today for a little walk. I think in the arena I had the girls doing some recall with the minions. Personally, I took out, again, all the minions to get their rabies shots. They all had a car ride today. Leroy and I went out to Target. Where else did we go? Who else went out with me? Voodoo and I went to the bank. And Merle and I went to a little novelty shop nearby. Has there been any puppies that you trained that were surprised that that became service dogs? I touched on this, I think last Monday. I would put Dolly in that category. She was one that we didn't really have a plan for her at the beginning. I think at one point Carlene had considered keeping her as a breeder, and so we weren't really sure what we were going to do with her, and I kind of took her under my wing and made her, I guess, partly helped out to make her into the service dog she is today, which she's wonderful. Have you had any business try to deny your service while you were out training? 99% of the time I have not had any issues. Meg and I did take 2 dogs into a little deli shop nearby here. I won't name the name, but I think that it was just that the owners were uneducated about service dogs, and so at first they were like, no dogs, no dogs, no dogs. And then we explained to them what we did, and then they were coming out with plates of roast beef for the dogs, which obviously we did not want them to eat roast beef while we were out training. I think that's pretty much it in terms of being denied. Most people are just really in awe. Do you ever take the dogs to schools to practice if their applicant is young? Yes, I'm kind of, Steve has young kids too, but I have an 8-year-old son. The school that he goes to is very receptive to service dogs. Last year, I hosted their Lego club, so often every Wednesday afternoon I would bring a dog with me to Lego club. The kids really liked that, and they also learn a lot about it, so that works. Right now, every time I usually go to pick up Jackson, I'll walk a dog up. Some are really nervous, some aren't. I took Merle the other day, and she did really well. My son's a gymnast, so I have taken dogs to gymnastics practice where there's a lot of little kids running around. And last year, George spent a lot of time with me doing those kinds of things, prepping him for school for Bella. At what age do you start public training, stores, etc.? I would say as soon as the dogs are vetted with their rabies vaccination, so roughly 12 to 16 weeks of age is when we're starting to take them out. Size-wise, how is Leroy measuring up to Sir Bentley? Leroy's a big boy. They're going to be one, I believe, on the 29th of this month, and I think he'll be a pretty solid big boy, big dog. He's got a big head. He's not quite the size of Bentley yet, but there's a pretty good chance he could be. When you go into stores, have their tails ever broken anything? I don't think I've personally had that happen. Definitely in stores like Home Goods, which is one of my favorite stores. You know that sometimes the aisles are tight and you're like in an aisle with like the glass, you know, knickknacks you buy for your counter, and so I'm very cautious about them turning around, moving around. But usually when the dogs are in vest, they're not really excited, so you don't really tend to get a lot of the happy tail in public like that, which is good, unless they're being engaged by someone, which typically they shouldn't be. So that's a good question, Trixie. How do you as trainers keep from getting attached to the puppies? It's really hard. I think all three of us, trainers-wise, would say that we each have our personal dogs that really help, that we get to go home to every day. But it is hard. I mean, we're spending a year and a half on average with these dogs. Essentially, we are their person or their people for their entire life until their match. Some are harder than others. You know, some of us, we each tend to get attached to certain dogs for one reason or another. So those get really hard, and I have shed a lot of tears when they've left, for sure. I'm glad Wilbur was moved out of the feed room. I think he was having a problem with anxiety, that he was chasing his tail so much. I didn't see Wilbur in the back room. I think tonight he's with, who is he with? Wilbur and Pilot. He's with Pilot today, and he seems very happy. Alexa, Lexi. Yeah. Grace wanted to see if you'd help unload the pro plan.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Blue Penguin is asking if Shannon would participate. She might. She leaves at 3 every day because she's in real early in the morning, Shannon. But maybe sometimes she can pop in for a Q&A. You guys might suggest that to Carlene. I'll mention it. Who is your tallest dog in training right now? Oh, that's a tough one. Tallest. What do you think about? Like Merle? Maybe Merle. Merle reminds me a lot of like Lars and George. They're like tall, lanky, whereas like Clark and Gronk are a little bit shorter. So I would say Merle if it were my guess. When you take dogs to places like Costco, Target, Home Goods, do you shop as well or just focus on training? I would say 90% of the time I'm focused on training. Well, I should say 100% of the time I'm focused on the dog, but occasionally when we're out, yes, I do pick up something at Target that I might need or lunch somewhere. But obviously my first goal is to train the dog. I saw a rope lead device, sort of a figure 8, used to lead the pups in one picture on one time. How is this used? I've mentioned this before, so the figure 8, I don't have a rope with me, or a dog for that matter. Instead of, when you put a leash around the neck, and a puppy pulls against that, that can really damage a dog at a young age, and it makes them very scared. So by looping it around the neck and then underneath the body and then back through the ring, when the dog pulls away from you on the rope, it puts tension around their chest versus their neck first. So it sort of like creates like a halter effect. So the dog is less likely to get hurt or freak out with tension around the chest. Cleanup meeting in the feed room. Do one of you guys want to check the feed room? I don't know if somebody went to the bathroom or something. Thank you. Now that George and Bella are so famous, do you encounter lots of local people who want to talk to you about SCP? Yep. I have a lot more recently. People that come forward, they say, "Oh, I saw a dog just like this on the news or on Facebook or whatever," and we'll say, "Yeah, George is from Service Dog Project," and it's a way to talk about it. I'm really happy about that people are seeing it there, and then once they're out and about with us, that they're willing to engage us. It's nice when people come up to us and want to learn more about it. Who is better off leash? It's hard to tell with the older dogs because pretty much all of them have gone through all of the off-leash training and the recall, so they're pretty good. Merle will turn on the drop of a dime for me. It's funny, some of them respond better to one trainer than the other, just again, probably because of the relationships. Puppy-wise, we had Pixie out today. She was really good with following and coming when her name was called. Right now, they're all in that limbo stage where, they want to learn and they're getting the idea of learning, but they're also really young and immature and want to run and play and jump and be puppies. So probably around off-leash, more around like the 5 to 6 month age is when you can really tell who's really responding well. Do you like working and teaching with the younger girls? I do. I always have liked teaching people things. It's just part of something I enjoy doing. I think if you're knowledgeable in something in life, you should be willing to share that with other people, especially people who want to learn. So I really like that, and I like to see them work well with the dogs and kind of get the training concepts. Have you trained other breeds? I have never trained dogs before in my life. So a lot of people are surprised by that. I think none of us have. Steve has had a little training doing canine dogs for police. I have never trained dogs. I have had Great Danes all of my adult life. I've had dogs my entire life. But aside from some basic common sense things that I think a trainer naturally has to have, a lot of the techniques that we do for service dog projects are things that I've learned here. How is Gretchen? Haven't seen her in a while. She's really good. I just mentioned a little while ago, I think they can come out on Monday. It's their first day that they don't have to be in Deagle House anymore. So I have made a rotation schedule for the house. Basically, the three younger litters will rotate 2 in a house every day. Again, 2 in the house, 2 in the back room. So I believe Monday morning, let me check the schedule, hold on. Now, it's a schedule, doesn't mean it'll
No,
happen.
right.
But I do have Ruby and Gretchen on in the house for Monday. So after we feed in the morning, my plan is to bring them in to the house. Okay, just a few more. What girls' names are the ones you... Krista, Jenna, Lex, Michaela. I think those are pretty much the girls that have been coming on a regular basis. And Bella. Trixie, do you know how the change match with the back went? I don't understand that question. Maybe you can retype it. I'm not real sure what that means. Sorry. Is Voodoo going to be tall or sturdy? I don't think she's going to be very tall, but I think she's going to be sturdy for sure. She's like a brick house when she's out with me. But I think she's going to be on the shorter side, in my opinion, for right now. Although she's still young, so she could go through a growth spurt. I'll wait and see if Trixie retypes her message. Hopefully which dog makes you laugh or has a silly personality? I would say Pixie. She's got these crazy eyes. I call her crazy eyes. She's just like kind of that bounce off the wall kind of girl, but she can focus too, which is good. I met Carlene mentioned in the DD. How do you know the change? Oh, I'm sorry. The change, like taking the money to the bank. I don't really know how that went. You might want to ask Carlene. Carlene took Olivia. They had Washer and Bentley with them. And as far as I know, it went fine, but she might be able to tell you more about that. Are the dogs trained every day or do they get a day off? Right now, the three of us have kind of divided up our responsibilities so that we can make sure every dog's getting touched. I think right now Steve's really working with the older dogs. Megan's spending a lot of her time with the pokies, and then I'm tending to spend more of my time during the week with the younger dogs. Today, Megan and Steve are both not here, so I kind of was all over the place and took a few older dogs out. Weekends are a little different for me. Sundays are tough for Steve because of open house to always train dogs. So yes, I would say we'd like to touch every dog every way in some capacity. Whether or not they're all getting off property every day is a different matter. But occasionally from time to time they do get time off, so to speak. But they really like to go out, so we try as much as we can. You said brick house, made me smile. I think that's it. Not SVP. Oh, somebody's asking me a personal question. My son, when is his next gymnastics competition? Sunday.
Hi.
Go Jackson.
Good evening, outside.
All right. See you guys. What's going on?
Well, she's coming in.
Okay.
Hello. Hi.